What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
So I went to I went shopping for my girlfriend today, and I had the worst reality of my life. Now, Long Island is very interesting because they love competition around here. And so in one little area, there's a Chick-fil-A, a McDonald's, a Taco Bell, a Popeyes, and a Wendy's, all in one little quadrant on a four-way intersection. So I'm like, all right, I'm out. I totally forgot to defrost the chicken that's currently sitting in my freezer. So I was like, I have nothing to eat at home unless I'm going to make a quesadilla or just drink beer. So I'm like, you know what? Let's go to Chick-fil-A. Show up, line's too long, leave. Go to Popeyes, line's too long, leave. Taco Bell, line's too long, leave. Wendy's, line is too long, leave. The only place that has no line is the McDonald's. So I am here subjecting myself to a McDonald's Big Mac meal because I couldn't get my 4 for $4. I couldn't get my cheesy gordita crunch. I couldn't get my Chick-fil-A spicy deluxe, and I couldn't get my Popeyes spicy chicken sandwich.
Apparently, this is news to me that I just found out because the Chick-fil-A that is the only one in Vineland from the lunch hours, 11:30 to 4:30. Honestly, the line is backed up out the ass, wrapped around. So it's in our mall plaza almost, but this side of the mall. But where the line entrance for the drive-thru is, it'll come out into where driving goes on a road. And so apparently the city of Vineland has determined that Chick-fil-A gets backed up too much, so they're going to keep that one open. But then about a block and a half down the street where our old Golden Corral used to be located, and it's just a vacant building, they're going to knock that down, and that is going to be Chick-fil-A number 2 in Vineland, right down the street.
It's like the episode. No, it isn't. No, it's the SpongeBob movie where he has Krusty Krab 2 just next door. They're gonna literally put Chick-fil-A number 1, and it'll be Chick-fil-A with a giant ass 2.
The chicken logo is just gonna be a number 2, and then they put the chicken in the 2.
They'll have a giant their cow mascot with 2 arms pointing out. Go eat more chicken. And it's gonna have both directionals. Here, go to this one.
We eat chicken too,
bro. They had that. There was all right when Sonic first came to Long Island. There was a line. All right, so for those of you listening that are from the great state of New York and in the area of Long Island, particularly in Suffolk County, there's the Long Island Expressway, right? And so the expressway is super loaded. Right next to it, though, is adjacent to it was Deer Park Avenue in Deer Park, and so it basically ran that the on-ramp to the LIE in both directions. You would go on Deer Park Avenue. About a block and a half away from the entrance, from the on-ramp and off-ramp, was a Sonic, the first one on Long Island. And people would literally line up in droves to come and eat at the Sonic. And people didn't have the concept down of okay, you go, you sit in the booth, you wait for the girl to drive up on her skates, give you the food. But people turned it into a hangout spot more than they actually did to go and eat. So people would be in these stalls for an hour. And it became this isn't the 50s anymore where you could just go casually and go chill. You need turnover. And so the line was so far out that the I don't even know what town it is technically. I think it's the town of, I don't think it's Brookhaven, but it might be. Basically deemed that the Sonic is so backed up that they dedicated a portion of the 2-lane road going southbound on Deer Park Avenue for the Sonic. And it caused so much backup though in traffic that basically they had to redesign the entire street and basically take away the median, open up a new lane on what was the shoulder on the right-hand side on the other side of the road, and basically weave it and go that way.
Holy shit,
dude! It's gotten better. much better because it's been like 4 or 5 years. But like, oh my god, it was the worst traffic I've ever seen since the first. Actually, the first Chick-fil-A that was built was like 2018. I think I was in college when it was first built, and like that was like right by my house, and people were like going nuts over it. And that was also on a 4-way intersection on a main road on 347, which is one of the main like commercial roads going up the North Shore. Like it was absolutely bonkers. But moral of my story here is the harsh reality of life when you don't always get what you want the first time or the second time or the third or the fourth. So you have to settle for the worst possible option. That's literally me tonight. And my bathroom will hate me in about a half hour. So,
yo, you got to baptize that baby.
I mean, I've baptized it multiple times.
Hey,
I've been living
people get baptized multiple times.
It's like fucking renewing vows. Like here, let's
those
go
born
back
agains.
No, like I've been living here for a month, and I've already probably blown up this bathroom at least like 10 times.
It's been a month already.
Yeah, right. It's kind of crazy. It's nuts.
Damn.
And so I've probably blown up the bathroom at least 10 times. Thankfully, while my girlfriend's at work, she works the night shift. So basically, like tonight, I have this entire place to myself. I'm not wearing pants. I'm literally just in my underwear. After this, I'm gonna take my shirt off and just sit literally in underwear and watch
my shirt off.
And we're gonna have a good fucking night. But until then, I'm stuck chatting with you for about a half hour.
Hey, could be worse.
It could be worse. Well, as you heard in the intro, welcome in to the Get in the Hole podcast. Stephen McAvoy and Kyle Bennett jumping in for Ben Piero. I don't know where Ben is. I think he's like probably for a tournament or something. You know, average pro golfer things to do.
Isn't he in Florida for that?
Yeah, I think he's traveling to see the girlfriend.
Yeah, it's girlfriend weekend.
It's girlfriend weekend. Oh,
can't hate on it though.
But like, don't know what's better though, like hanging out with a girlfriend or getting to record with me. I feel like after about the 4 weeks or five weeks he's been doing this, he really enjoys hanging out with me, despite the. I
think you're growing on.
I think so. Yeah.
You're like he's like Elmer from the Fairly Odd Parents, and you're his Boyle.
Oh my God, Elmer and his Boyle Bob. This is my Boyle Bob.
I'm evil.
Wasn't there an episode where he tried to like be like him?
Yeah.
And like, was it like in an attempt to like win the girl's heart or something like that?
Yeah, and like take over Elmer, like he was gonna be Elmer instead. It was fantastic for stuff. Shout out to Butch Hartman. That
has to be a top 3 Nick show of all time.
Oh, easily.
But like, would you put SpongeBob like?
SpongeBob's kind of like in a pantheon of its own.
Well, because the original story behind it was that like it was going to be like a Adult Swim show, and they were like, no, we're gonna cut this because a new show is coming around called Family Guy, and we're gonna bring this one into the fold instead. And they were like, all right, let's turn it into kids, which is still why like Sandy Cheeks and Bikini Bottom still held because they wanted to approach the adult audience.
That's why Mr. Krabs has a giant whale for a daughter.
Oh, I never even noticed that.
It's a one-night stand operation.
Well, like I knew like Pearl was a whale, but like I didn't think of like the correlation like that. Wow, this is like we're really kind of losing it here. Top 3 Nick shows though: Fairly Odd Parents,
SpongeBob.
All right, here you gotta split it up though, but from like the '90s shows to the 2000 shows, because like
Fair.
It's that like you could easily put.
Where do you put SpongeBob though? Since it technically debuted in 1999.
I think it fits more in the 2000s era because, like, my generation of child watched it. Like when I started watching Nickelodeon, I watched SpongeBob. It was like the final year of Hey Arnold. Cat Dog was like slowly falling out, but like the whole era of like Ren and Stimpy and all that was like over. So none of those shows were a thing. The only like 90s show that still stuck around was like All That was still kind of there.
Which is basically kids SNL. When you get older, you realize that
it literally was. And the irony is that like half the people who were ever on it wound up on SNL, but different story. Yeah, I mean, because like I also grew up in the odd era of like the late the end of the 90s era, the beginning of the 2000s, but also the shift for many kids from Nick to Disney, because that was when like Zack and Cody came out, and High School Musical came out when I was 8 years old, and that was basically taking over everyone's heart until I don't know, like 2012.
See, I was in a weird boat where, like, yes, I watched Disney Channel, but like my duo of kids channels was Nickelodeon Cartoon Network.
I never got into Cartoon Network. Well, actually, that's untrue. I hated Courage.
I mean, that show was great, but it was nightmare fuel.
Yes, that I think Billy and Mandy was like low key nightmare fuel, depending on how you grew up.
That show was great.
I liked it. Perfect Burger, it was good. But like, I don't know. I never really got into
Destroy Us All. Destroy Us All.
The only shows that I liked from Cartoon Network was Kids Next Door and Foster's was a good show.
Foster's was fantastic.
That was one of the most underrated shows ever.
And honestly, then when you get older and you realize that Wilt is just Wilt Chamberlain's imaginary friend.
Yeah, like
it's fantastic.
Oh my! Like those were like the shows, but like Nickelodeon though, like I gotta think of like.
I was a big Danny Phantom fan.
My girlfriend was a fan. All right, my girlfriend. I'm gonna call her out like right now, but she never watched the show. She was a big Danny Phantom fan. She thought Danny Phantom was hot, and still does think he's hot.
I mean, Sam was fantastic.
I mean, yeah, but like I don't know. Finding cartoon characters hot still kind of freaks me out.
It's valid.
I'm like, no. I look at like modern characters that like actual like show characters that are like, I don't know, human. Like, oh yeah, beautiful. I don't look at like anime. Like I don't look at anime the same way as like other people do. I still can't think what are the other
Rocket Power.
Rocket Power was towards like the back end when I was getting into it. Hold on. I'm literally gonna have to Google this. Top Nick shows. At some point, we're gonna talk about golf. I promise.
Rugrats.
I didn't like Rugrats.
Really? You're the first person I've ever heard say that.
I just wasn't a huge fan of it. I didn't mind it. All right, hold on. Got it. Fairly Odd Parents, Jimmy Neutron was the greatest show on the planet. Hands down, best show ever. And I would say in my era of Nick, probably Ned's Declassified.
Ned was great.
Those are the three shows that I watched like religiously as a kid. And like SpongeBob is there, but again, the yellow creature is kind of in a pantheon of his own.
Shout out Rocco's Modern Life too. I know that's before your time probably, but
like yeah, like I talk about
awesome.
Like I watched a couple of episodes, but it would be on like. Do you remember? Nick had like a sub show that had like Guts and like Legends of the Hidden Temple. That would occasionally be on at like 3 a.m. when you like woke from a nap and you're like, oh, like where am I?
That was great. The Angry Beavers, fantastic.
Never saw that show.
You would love the Angry Beavers. Knowing you and knowing like your humor, you would love the Angry Beavers.
The one show I hated was Cat Dog.
I loved Cat Dog.
I never liked it. I never got into it. Never found it funny or amusing.
Winslow, the blue rat, was hilarious.
All right, well, yeah, he was funny, but no, I never got into it. All right, I think it's been like.
Let's get into some golf.
Yeah, let's chat the
a 13.5-minute streamer season open.
I mean, like nothing really happened in golf, right? Just like, I don't know, the protector of the realm, Rory McIlroy, just casually said goodbye, peasant Scotty Scheffler.
Be gone.
Yeah, well,
be gone, plebe.
I can easily make Game of Thrones references, but you have no fucking clue what I'm talking about.
Yeah, which is part of our Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, 1K Road to 1K Gauntlet Challenge. If we get to 1K, the streamer season leg of us getting to 1K will be I watched season 1 of Game of Thrones.
That was like the best segue you could have ever had. That was like the most seamless ad read I've ever seen in my entire life. So yeah, the protector of the realm, Rory McIlroy, for everybody who's been living under a rock, obviously, of anybody in the golfing world to be the guy to stand up to live golf since it came out in like October that it was going to be a thing. While while the king of the Andals, first of his name, protector of the realm, Tiger Woods was battling an injury. His hand, which Kyle, the hand of the king, is like the second hand man. Rory
I've
McIlroy,
learned that since watching House of the Dragon.
there you go. So the hand of the king, Rory McIlroy, has been basically the interim protector of the realm while Tiger battled, and Tiger had his chance at the Open Championship at St. Andrews. He gave his take. He talked about what the deal was, but it was really Rory ever since. I would say probably the week before the RBC Canadian Open, because that was after the first live event, and actually it was the same week. And Rory won that week. Came out, was like we were basically fending off the live tour. The win gave him more career wins than Greg Norman, and he was like, well, 21 wins is better than some with 20. So a total just like absolute buffoonery of Greg Norman. And then proceeds to have just this magical year. We saw it at the Masters in April, which was again like months prior to this even happening. The backdoor top five, him and Colin holding out from the same spot, and you kind of knew it was going to be a magical year for someone like Rory. And it wasn't the live part that like everyone was like, oh, this is going to happen. It was more so you thought the performances would be there. He led the PGA Tour this year in scoring average at like a 68. Which edged out the next highest guy, which was, I believe, quote me if I'm wrong, was Scotty Scheffler at I think at 69. So by almost a full stroke was the best scoring average on tour. He had this win. He finished top 8 in every single major, so was cruising the whole way through. The guy made $28 million, which makes him technically the 16th highest paid player in the NFL. It's been a really amazing year, and on top of it, was able to basically be the iron horse behind keeping people on the PGA Tour. He was the right-hand man to Tiger when they had this private players-only meeting, and we saw it even today. Cameron Young and Hideki Matsuyama said that they're going to stay on the PGA Tour despite being very tempted by joining LIV, had over $100 million offers to go, but he said that the players-only meeting with Tiger and Rory, as well as the rule changes, which we're going to get into here on the B side of the show, tempted them to stay on. So really, you can thank Rory McIlroy for taking over the duties as protector of the realm. Thank you. Which is funny too, because back in the Game of Thrones days, there weren't bathrooms, so you had to you just threw your duty everywhere else.
You really were protecting your duties.
Oh, very much so. And Rory protected everyone's duties and managed to keep the PGA Tour together for the most part, with the exception of those few strays leaving, and had this incredible run, two wins with one of them, sorry, 3 wins at the CJ Cup, and then at the Canadian Open, and now this final week, winning it all, taking it from right under Scotty Scheffler's feet. His squire, yeah, that makes sense. Taking it from Squire Scheffler, and taking home the big $18 million checkaroo from Eastlake. It's been a magical year, an incredible year, and I love the humbleness that he had when he walked off the course. He first locked eyes with Scotty's dad and said just straight up, "I'm sorry, he deserved it more than me." And
Legend.
like even Rory was shocked that he won. He was like, honestly, like I played okay. He came back from, I think he was 4 under, so he came back from down 6 strokes with the adjusted scoring, and technically based on that alone, he actually would have beaten Scotty by like 7 strokes if it was just straight up like low gross scoring, which is kind of crazy. Which means how good he played. He hugged his mother, hugged his wife, said, "Hey, like he played incredible." And now I think for the first time since Cam Smith won the Open, I think we're now in the debatability here of who should be the Tour MVP this year, Scotty Scheffler or Rory McIlroy. And if you consider this, I think Rory might be edging him.
Yeah, it's a good discussion for sure. It's something we'll have to put on the Twitter. Because there's so many. Like if you took like the old school, like, oh, let's put a scale out and add, one piece here for Scotty, one piece here for Rory, and you stack them up, it's very close. There's an argument to be made for both, I think.
Well, I think Golf Digest posted a graphic like comparing the two, and like yeah, Scotty had 4 wins in like a 2 month span, which
which
is
is insane.
and also not to mention his first career major was
Right.
the capper to all of that. Again, Rory didn't finish necessarily, didn't have a win in a major, but he's the only guy to finish top 10, or actually specifically top 8, in all 4. He's the only player this year to have 2 regular season wins and win them both by over like I think like 8 aggregate strokes, like something insane. Um, I think he's also the first player since Tiger Woods to have top 5s in 3 of the 4 majors. Uh, and of course, he's now won uh, his third final, which edges out Jordan Spieth, Tiger Woods, and Jack Nicklaus. So pretty elite company when you kind of break it all down. I think Scotty had more overall top 10s, but Rory really made them count where it mattered most. And I think what he said was the best part. He said that the reason why he managed to win this week and play so well the whole year was that he just loves the game of golf and he doesn't think about the money. Where people were kind of saying this that Scotty Scheffler, when you think about it, every putt that he had for the majority of the back nine with Sanjay M and Xander Schauffele, he was basically putting like with like $11 million in the line. Because obviously the winner won 18, the next highest guy won like I think like 7 or 8. So
Which great tweet from my good pal Jordy from Barstool. He tweeted a picture of Greg Norman on his knees with his golf club up to the sky and said, "When Rory makes a quick 18 million and continues to stack up more career wins."
Dude, it's.
I'll send you the picture too.
But yeah, here, yeah. All right, so actually, this is a different one, but actually, this kind of shows too the maturity and how much Rory's done. So this is Rory McIlroy 2014 versus 2022. At that point, so now this year, Rory McIlroy is also back in the top 3 of the world golf rankings for the first time since 2014. In 2014, he was number 1 in the world. This year, he finished number 2. He had 17 starts in 2014, 3 wins, 2 majors, 12 top 10 finishes, and a scoring average of 68.8. And he made $10 million. This year, finished second, so 1 back of his first. Had 1 less start, the same number of wins, no majors, but all top 8s, 2 less top 10 finishes with 10. Had a lower scoring average and made more than double the money, almost triple the money, really. I just think that after all said and done, when you look at what Rory's done this year, and not that it's like a measurement, like, oh, he should win the MVP because of this. Obviously, it's the stats that matter the most, but if you're going to encompass the actual off-the-course play and what he's done for this PGA Tour, I think it's like a moral you have to give it to him almost. And I know it's wrong to assume in that sense, because really what he did against Live Golf has no implication on why he should win. I simply think that because of it, again, he did a better job at protecting his own league than the actual commissioner did. Mm-hmm. I think Jay Monahan has done an absolute shit-stain job at all of this. Meanwhile, Tiger and Rory have really picked up the slack and essentially have kind of become commissioner 2 and 3. Behind Monahan's shoestrings. Which,
Not to go too off track, but it did just pop up in my mind, and I don't know if you and Ben have talked about this, but it is, your 1 and your 1A sports that you love. Who's a worse commissioner, Monahan or Rob Manfred?
I mean, well, all right, they're all bad for different reasons. I think overall, looking at the lack of accountability, I think actually Goodell is the worst one, and that's more so my gripe on the whole. Even like recently with the whole Deshaun Watson ordeal,
of course,
with the inability to suspend players because of domestic violence, because of sexual abuse, and basically anything along those lines. Even like the Matt Azaria thing, and I'm not going to dig too deep because it's just an awful story. If he is convicted of this, and the the NFL doesn't do like enough. Like, where's the accountability? Or I think it was the reason why the judge gave him only 6 games was because according to the NFL policy, that's what the punishment is.
And then
which is a ludicrous
with
take.
the new CBA, Roger Goodell has the power to overturn that, which is wild. I was thinking more in terms with Monahan versus Manfred of who hates their sport more.
Oh, I mean, Rob Manfred wants to bury this league into the ground. I don't think Monahan doesn't care about it. I just think because it's 2 very different situations. Because at the very least, there's a players' union for the MLB.
True.
The PGA Tour, it's an organization that now basically hires independent contractors who are the players. And so there is no real union. There is no like players union. And when they have these players only meetings, they're not voluntary, as opposed to the MLBPA where during the CBA it was voluntary to have certain people there. Like if I was Joaquin Neiman and didn't want to show up because I was going to live, I wasn't going to show up. So
which kind of felt like before Rory and Tiger announced this new Monday Night Golf affair that they're going to be having, it felt like the vibes, at least, of like, oh, look, we're showing up on the private plane to go talk with the players and stuff.
Yeah.
It almost felt like there was, some circling of wagons to unionize.
I mean, I really hope there is. The problem with the PGA Tour, again, is because they're all independent contractors, they can technically go on strike if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But Jay Monahan would just find new people.
Right.
Like, okay, if you want to go, like, the product would suck, but you guys want to go on strike? Rory, Tiger, Rom, Morikawa, you want to go on strike? Fine. I'll just bring up the top Korn Ferry players, and we'll play without you. Because they've had plenty of success with Korn Ferry guys coming up. Cameron Young, like really anybody who's below the age of 25. Taylor Pendrith has played really well. They're going to have Cole Hammer come up and play awesome. Like, they have all these guys who are looking for a shot, and there's no penalty to Jay Monahan if they want to go on strike, which I think the problem is they need to unionize in order to actually like hold accountability. Because then that way the rule changes that Monahan's making, they're recommended by Tiger Woods, but the only reason why he's listening is because it's Tiger Woods.
Mm-hmm.
If this was, I don't know, the 124th player in the world, Justin Rose, saying, hey, we need to make these changes. Yeah, he's respected among the players, but
it's not going to move the needle anywhere.
What does Jay Monahan care?
Right.
It's Justin Rose. He's 41 years old. He's past his prime. At this point,
he's that old?
He's old.
Wow, I'm old.
He's lucky to make a cut. It's like, what are you going to do? So, yeah, when it's the greatest player on earth to pick up a golf club, you'll listen.
Right.
And even then, like, are some of the things that he's doing really exonerable? I don't really know. And we'll ask Ben next week when he's back. I wish he was around so I could actually ask him these questions, because there are some things that we've chatted about that seem like it's moving the needle. But I can guarantee you, as we get to the B block, that there are things that I like and there are things that I absolutely hate, and we'll have to just go from there. Before we wind down this whole entire discussion on what's happened, we got to just basically recap the whole last week, considering everything else that happened. Of course, Rory won, but it also comes down to a lot of other key factors. We got to talk about the PIP, who are guys who we think are going to finish at the top end there, especially after this week. Max Homa finished top 5, the highest ranked player in his first ever appearance to finish top 5. No one's ever done that in the history of East Lake. And Max Homa, of course, as we know, the Twitter extravaganza that he doesn't take himself quite too seriously.
Is Max Homa the Pat McAfee of golf?
Yes. Exponentially.
That came into my mind as I was mentally prepping to dive into everything today. I was like looking at Homa and where he finished. I was like, he's the McAfee of golf.
And what's an absolute shame, though, is that he has a podcast and it doesn't get nearly as much love as you would think.
That's crazy.
However, if Max Homa's podcast went on the Barstool, it would blow up.
Easily. Or if Max Homa decided to come be a mic on Get in the Hole. Just saying.
At that point, just fire me and just let it be Max and Ben.
No, you're the peacekeeper.
So I'm the Molly Karam of the what could become first take of golf. I'll have these two buffoons.
Embrace debate.
I'll have these two buffoons like Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Skip, just like going in and at it, and I'll be like, all right, guys, let's go. Let's calm down. Let's talk about what's happening with LeBron.
There's no losing in these shoes.
Oh my god, the worst show that ever came out of this entire era of the post first take was Speak for Yourself. When it was like, when it was Coward and Jason Whitlock. What an absolute utterly bad show.
Terrible.
I like Whitlock though. I think he has decent takes. But among the other guys this week who stood out, who kind of disappointed, I think the fact that Cameron Smith finished 9 under and basically didn't really move the needle anywhere from where he started anyways at 3 under. I think this was the coronating moment of you're going to live, you're just going to play like ass this week. And I kind of love it. I love Cam Smith, but I'm losing a lot of respect for him. The fact that he is going to jump ship to live golf. Finishing 9 under, finishing like 17th. It's only a 30-man field. You're literally the number 3 player in the world. You should be playing a lot better, especially with how he's been the last like month and a half. And to come up short like that, I think it's kind of the golf gods fu.
Can't get hurt before that 100 milli hits the PayPal.
Dude, that thing hit the PayPal 3 months ago. You don't even know it.
He probably got more for dogging it this week.
I mean, but like, what does that accomplish? If anything, Greg Norman's like, I want you to win, so then you just like leave and take the $18 million running to Saudi Arabia.
Or he's just like, dog it, and then your first event with us, you just pop off and look like a certified weapon. And it's like, oh, look, see, the PGA was holding Cam Smith back.
Oh, like Brandon Grace when he left, and then a week later won at Bedminster.
Exactly.
Or like the Pumpkin Patch Open. I
What
was
a
like,
day.
hey, what's up? Like, yeah, I'm 38 years old. I haven't had a win on tour in 5 years. Let me go knock out some 17-year-olds from Thailand. Let's go. That was Brandon Grace's win in a nutshell.
I have started to look at the PGA and live and everything and just like look at it from a sense of like not being truly mad at the players solely in terms of them jumping ship and everything. Like, yes, it sucks, like the backing of live and everything, but everyone out there that is still complaining about these players jumping over, trying to say that they wouldn't take $300 million in their bank account automatically if they were to go play golf, they're lying to themselves.
Yeah, no, I would easily take the money. It's more so the people that are signing the checks every week is kind of what annoys me about it. And like, I also don't like the concept, and this is the last thing I want to talk about live. We have an 18-day hiatus before the new PGA Tour season starts, and I want to avoid live drama if I can, the most as possible. But the fact that all of them are like, oh, I'm not a politician, so I can't comment on the problems. Like that's what we've been trying to do with players having a voice in all sports and giving an opinion for years. And it's like the whole like shut up and dribble concept is kind of back in play now. And no golfer wanted to speak up except for the ones that were on the PGA Tour who were like, yeah, like this is like bad money. So
not that I want to like dive too politically into this, but I did see a great quote that a good friend of the Outside the Box podcast, Eric Minio, retweeted this from Uncle Chaps from Barstool. He had somebody on, the new broadcaster who was PGA and then he jumped to live.
Yeah.
They interviewed him, and the like hitter for their opening was, if you don't want your golfers taking Saudi money, make sure your government gets out of it first.
Yeah, I agree.
Which I think is a great quote.
Well, yeah, of course. Like when you think about it, and this is also where everyone's kind of two-faced. There are PGA Tour sanctioned events that aren't a part of the PGA Tour. They're part of the European side, but like the Dubai Desert Classic and the Saudi Open. Like
the LPGA like number 3 sponsor is a Saudi-backed company.
They're gonna have
There's no problem with that from the PGA.
They're gonna have an LPGA event in New York, like I think at Trump Ferry Point, in like October, and it's backed by a Saudi company. Tickets are free. The whole goal of it is to literally just get eyes on the LPGA Tour. I'll be there most certainly. Like that's all great because at the very least they're trying to expose women's golf into the world instead of burying it under like tour champions. I'm gonna watch Bernard Langer play Vijay Singh in a playoff. This literally happens like on the weekly, where you see the senior tour, like cutting from the LPGA broadcast. Like, oh well, breaking news: we got a playoff on the Champions Tour. Like, I don't want to watch that. I want to watch Nelly Korda and Brooke Henderson and co battle it out. Like that's what's more interesting. But yeah, the whole like the politicism behind it. Everyone's two-faced, and at the end of the day, our government sucks. I think every politician just blows. Anyways, yeah, you know what? Let's take a break. We're already very far into it. We're going to take a short break. Coming back, we're going to discuss the 2023 season, what's to come in only 18 days, and the rule changes that Jay Monahan is bringing in to the PGA Tour. Do we like them? Do we hate them? We'll talk about it all here and more on the Get in the Hole podcast. Welcome back in. It is the PGA Tour recap show. The end of the season of the 2022 season. Rory McIlroy takes home the big win at East Lake. It's the Get in the Hole podcast. Steve McAvoy, Kyle Bennett here with you on a Monday to discuss all things in the world of golf. The biggest thing that has come out, outside of course East Lake, are the rule changes that are going to be implemented come the 2023 season. I'm not sure if they're going to be implemented directly in the next 18 days when the new season begins, or if it's going to take another little bit. But at the very least, we have some rule changes according to Jay Monahan. Some big-time news coming out of the PGA Tour camp. And let's kind of roll through these, talk about whether or not we like them, if we don't like them or not. Oh, wow. Yeah, this McDonald's is not really sitting very good. So we'll start off with the events that are being changed. So they've officially announced with a few things to come out in the next few weeks. This upcoming season, there'll be 12 elevated events. The average purse size will be roughly $20 million. Some will be 25. I believe that that's like the players and a few other events will have a $25 million purse, up from about 15 to 18 million from years past. So not in order, but the events that will be upgraded. The Century Tournament Champions, so January 1st, that first weekend in Kapalua, all champions from the past season will play there for $20 million. The Genesis Invitational at Riviera, the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill, the Memorial Tournament at Jack's Place, the WGC Dell Match Play, the FedEx St. Jude, which is a playoff event. Sorry, all three playoff events: the FedEx St. Jude, the BMW Championship, and the Tour Championship, as well as 4 other events that are going to be announced within the next 3 or 4 weeks. The expectation, according to some, is the Waste Management Phoenix Open will be one of those events. You very well might also see a few events come through, like the Travelers Championship might get a big boost, considering that that's one of the bigger primetime events of like the second subset of major events. The Amex might also get a boost early on in the year, and then a couple others here and there. So there are 4 more to be announced. Monahan will be announcing those hopefully by the end of the month. Top players, those in the top 20 of the PIP, will be committed to those 12 events, plus majors and 3 other events, meaning that they'll have a minimum schedule of 20 events, if they, assuming they qualify for all of them, which they will, because top 20 in the PIP traditionally is guys within at least the top 25 of the FedEx Cup standings at year's end. Speaking of the PIP, there will also be a boost in pay structure, and we'll stop here and break these down. The expanded PIP, instead of 10 players, will go to 20 players, which is the first time it's ever happened. They're also going to double the purse size from 50 million to 100 million across all 20 players. So players where you rank, you will earn a certain amount of additional money. And that's actually effective as of this season. So whoever finishes first in the PIP will get their shot at the $100 million purse. The number 1 player will earn $15 million, and also going to remove that Q score / social media metric. And they're going to actually base it now off of a new criteria, which is to be announced, but will include actual relevancy while playing on tour. So, like for example, Tiger Woods is going to take a major hit because he's the most Googled name on Twitter, But because he wasn't really in the limelight and actually playing, he'll take a hit as opposed to someone like a Max Homa, who had like 15 top 15s this year and will wind up probably making a bit more of a splash. Let's go in order from these and kind of roll down. What do you make of these first 3 changes to the new schedule?
I mean, you and I have talked about this when I've stopped in to co-host with you. I know you and Ben have talked about it. I know you and Max have talked about it. It's like, oh, all of a sudden all this money pops up for the PGA Tour to kind of just, implement into all these events and implement into different things. It's like, where'd Jay Monahan find that? What mattress was that hidden in? So I think that's kind of an interesting aspect, and I think Jared Newman, who is a pro lacrosse player for Chaos Lacrosse Club in the PLL, friend of our network and friend of OTB, he said, in a weird way, like these PGA guys should be thanking like everything that happened with Liv, because it kind of forced the hand of like, okay, we have to increase these salaries.
Totally.
And now they're doing it. So in a weird way, like the guys who did jump ship from the PGA to go to Liv kind of helped the PGA guys who stuck around.
Well, I think Greg Norman actually said it the best. He said that once the lawsuit came out and it got squashed for the guys trying to get onto the playoff tour and everything happened, he came out and said, well, basically Live Golf was the greatest thing that ever happened to golf. And he said that basically subtweeting everyone on the PGA, but also because the reason why these rule changes are in place is directly correlated to what they did. And is it going to help the PGA Tour in the long run? I don't really know. But at the very least, this will now boost purses. Like you said, where is the money coming from? Well, they're a $400 billion industry. The money's somewhere. Now, granted, the PGA Tour gives money to the DP World Tour. They're co-sponsor, the LPGA Tour. They give money there. They give money to sponsors. The PGA Tour also gives the most money per capita out of any major sports league, including soccer, lacrosse, and the like, to charities. So a lot of their money goes through there. There isn't statistics like 501(b)s or anything to show that, solely because they're a non-profit, non-disclosing, so they don't have to tell you where the money's going, which is kind of fucked up when you think about it. But anyways, but they allegedly give the most money in terms of overall charity. So at the very least, the money's going somewhere. But at the same time, where has this been? The one thing I don't like about these elevated events, and I mentioned this when it first became a thing, they wanted to have the top 60 players in the world play in certain events, and I think the few they had mentioned early on was the premier events that aren't the majors, so like the Genesis and the Waste Management particularly. And Ben's made it very clear, as somebody who's trying to come up and be a pro, where a lot of these guys don't make a lot of money, was why would you limit it to just the top 60 players when you can let everyone kind of have their cake and eat it too? Why is it only for the elite guys who already are making plenty of money because they have sponsorship deals, they have actual wins on tour? Once you get outside of the top 125, a lot of these guys have maybe 1-2 professional wins, maybe. Take our good friend Grayson Murray. He has two career wins on the PGA Tour, both at sub-level events where he didn't really make a lot of money anyways. You make like $1.5 million, and this is over a 4-year career. So,
and his biggest loss is to the biggest up-and-coming golf podcast on the charts, baby.
Yes, exactly. So, when you think about it, where's his opportunity to make more money? And I'm going to use him as the example, despite me hating him. But, where's the opportunity for him to make money if he's closed off from the chance to make the $25 million purse? Obviously, you get rewarded $18 million for winning the tour final, and now you're going to get a chance to get even more next year in all the playoff events. But you got to make the playoffs and be top 125 in the world, then top 75, and then top 30. And it's quite hard to make up some of that ground. We saw a lot of guys barely get snuffed out who even had wins this year, not make it to the tour final. JJ Spawn being one of those guys. So, where's the money going to all the guys who can't afford it? And this sort of segues into to the next piece that we have. First of all, I love the PIP. I love the actual expansion of it. I also like the fact that now, no offense to Tiger Woods, but you're already a billionaire. Spread the love. Someone like him can't win it, basically. Now it's going to be guys like Max Homa, Hideki Matsuyama, Cameron Young will certainly probably get a nice cut of the pie. So these guys will certainly make money, and at the very least, early on in their careers, have money to support paying for caddy fees, paying for traveling fees, hotels, wherever they happen to go. Because again, as Ben's pointed out, you're paying for your caddy's travel, you're paying for your travel. Most of the time, a lot of these guys don't have like NetJet sponsors like Bryson DeChambeau and Billy Horschel does, so they aren't. So they got to afford regular airlines. Colin Morikawa still flies coach. Victor Hovland has had 3 run-ins.
One of us.
Victor Hovland has had 2 run-ins with Delta Airlines, breaking his fucking clubs and losing them. Like these are 27-year-old guys flying next to me on a plane. Colin Morikawa took home the Claret Jug when he won last year at the Open on a freaking coach flight in a giant trunk. Like that jug is worth more than the plane. Like mother of God.
That's unreal.
Like these guys are they don't have the luxuries like the Rory McIlroys and Tiger Woods do. Because even with like sponsorships from like Titleist and all these companies, how much do they really pay unless you're the top flight of the players of the world? Which segues into the next thing that I think is actually really good, and I'm gonna love to get Ben's point on this. They're implementing a guaranteed minimum salary of $500,000 for players on the Korn Ferry Tour or higher. So if you're on the Korn Ferry Tour, you're basically in the AAA of golf. Once you get to the PGA Tour, you get your card. You must be a fully exempt member, meaning that you're a full-time participant of the Korn Ferry Tour. You aren't like a half on, half off with the European Tour or somewhere else. You must meet a 15 event minimum, which for the most part, all Korn Ferry guys will meet, including those guys who lose their PGA Tour card. Those guys are also included because it's anybody outside of the top 125 who are in this. If you do not, so you earn a minimum salary of $500K. If you do not earn that money or more in actual wins, the PGA Tour has a fund that will then basically make up the dividend for whatever you make. So if I make $490K, they'll pay me the $10,000 to get to my minimum. That'll go towards, again, all your expenses throughout the year. Just think about it. You're going to travel to 20 different events in Texas, California, Florida. On the Korn Ferry Tour, it's even more sporadic. You're going to the Carolinas, you're going to Indiana, you're going to Wyoming, you're going to Idaho. So you're literally going everywhere. And again, domestic and international flights cost a lot of money nowadays. So
can we get this $500K pool for everybody in the world?
You would think, right?
That sounds fantastic.
Well, here's the thing. Because I was looking at like the labor laws. There are different stipulations with the PGA Tour that if you're like the only PGA Tour groupings, quote unquote, that you're really in would be the Korn Ferry Tour or the Pro Tour, like where Ben's playing right now in the Dakotas Tour. It's sponsored by the PGA Tour, but it isn't actually a part of the PGA Tour. And then also PGA Tour University, technically they aren't allowed to give you any money because then unless it's an NIL deal, but your NIL deal cannot be based on your performance. So unless they're going to sponsor them to like wear a PGA Tour patch on their uniforms. But regardless.
Oh, I was saying like a $500K pool, like minimum like that for like generic people like you and me. That would be fantastic.
At that point, just have Jay Monahan help Biden with the student loan cancellation.
Let's go, Byron.
Who? Byron.
Joe Byron.
But yeah, I love this because it's gonna really help the guys on the Korn Ferry Tour more than anybody else. By the way, this is also the guys who are non-exempt can also join a travel stipend program where they earn $5,000 for every missed cut. So now, at the very least, even if you miss the cut at a PGA Tour event or Korn Ferry event, you'll make $5,000, which will cover your ability to travel with your caddy, which is really nice. So I love this in the sense that you had some guys, for example, Morgan Hoffman, who's currently back on PGA Tour, but he quit the Korn Ferry Tour for a time to go try and cure an incurable disease in like Costa Rica because he realized that he wasn't making enough money on the Korn Ferry Tour and PGA Tour to afford his caddy's like travel expenses, and his caddy couldn't afford it either. So he was like, I'm just going to quit golf for a few years, and he wound up like going to the jungle. Or you have other guys, I'm drawing a blank on his name, I apologize to him now, but fell into a really bad place and became a drug addict because he wasn't able to pay for his expenses to golf and everything. And now he's become clean, and his story is all over social media. I'm drawing a blank on what his name is. But there's a lot of guys who aren't able to stay in golf because they don't have the expenses paid. Trey Mullinax, someone who's now back on the PGA Tour, had a 2-year span where he was out of golf. And he was like a bank broker. So a lot of these guys now will be able to afford a lot of their travel and be able to figure out their needs in order to stay in pro golf and hopefully get a big time move in the game.
Willie Wilcox was
it. Yes, Willie Wilcox. Yes. So at the very least, I think now the PGA Tour is starting to use that money aside from the elevated events. Again, where's the money coming from? It was somewhere in the vault. Now it's actually being put to good use, which I think is
in the pot at the end of the rainbow.
Who's the leprechaun? Shane Lowry?
Rory.
No, he's from Northern Ireland, and it doesn't count.
That's where the rainbow starts.
It has to be like Shane. Well, really, if it's anybody, even though he's English, it's Tyrrell Hatton. He's like 5'6" and is just an angry old Englishman. But
checks out. The math is mathin'.
But probably Shane Lowry, or actually Patrick Harrington would make sense because he's old. So that's the biggest pay news coming out of the entire change here. Some other small things in terms of here we go. More qualification things. Now some events are going to offer over 550 FedEx Cup points instead of the average 500. That'll be at the Century, the Genesis, the Arnold Palmer, Dell Match Play, and the Memorial. So now guys can earn upwards of 500, 250 more FedEx Cup points, which can go a very, very long way down the line.
You said 750 is the minimum now?
550.
550. And what was the minimum before?
500. So the 550 is going to go to only those events, which are considered the elevated events. But at the same time, though, they're rewarding you basically for winning a bigger event that can push you on further. Two things that I think are really interesting too is that if you make the Tour Championship now, you earn a 2-year exemption to all events on the PGA Tour, which is a pretty cool perk, especially for guys like Ricky Fowler who are kind of at the precipice of losing their tour card. Would have been really nice for some guys who missed out this year. And now this is a rule that I find really interesting, and Ben was very strong against this, and I kind of agree. All players who make the Tour Championship, regardless of earning a win that season, qualify for the Century Tournament of Champions the next season. Do you think it's fair that even if you don't get a win the entire year, but you make the final, that you play in the Tournament of Champions?
I can see both sides to it. I can see why people would, like you and Ben, would say that's kind of lame. But then I can also see like the argument. It's like, biggest playoff event. You're making the final. Here's a little, boost for you to get you going for the next season.
I mean, you're already getting a 2-year exemption on tour. I feel like that's kind of
how many? But here's my question: how many guys do you think are gonna go over and in that same season make the final in the Tournament of Champions? Do you think it's gonna be super common, like across the board, or do you think it's gonna be like 1 or 2 guys?
Well, here, like I'll tell you right now, if you look at you look at the FedEx Cup standings from this past year, I can tell you all the guys who basically went over the entire year.
Okay.
Sanjay got a win, Scheffler got a win, Schauffele got a win, Homer got a win, JT got a win, Kenley got a win, Straka got a win, Finau, Hoagie. So all right, so everyone in the top 10 had a win.
Okay.
Top 11 had a win, 12 had a win, 13 had a win. Aaron Wise didn't get a win.
Where's he ranked?
13th.
Okay.
Fitzpatrick got a win. Hovland got 2 wins. Poston got a win. Rahm got a win in Mexico at like an alternate event. So I don't want to count that, but I will. Cameron Young didn't get a win, so that's 2 guys. Brian Harmon didn't get a win. Horschel didn't win. Morikawa didn't win. Sam Burns won. Adam Scott didn't win. Connors didn't win. KH Lee won. Thagala didn't win. Stallings didn't win. And then Zalatoris got a win. So that's all right.
So that's 9 guys, if I counted correctly from when you were reading them off.
Yeah. So that's so 9 guys this year who made the final will not be getting. 9 guys will be getting in who didn't get wins. I mean,
also I have to put in perspective, like, just from this season alone, because obviously I don't know if it'll. How many times are we going to see somebody pull Scotty Scheffler where they win that many times? In that type of span, that kind of, not saying that it can't be done, but think about, like, if you divvy out, what was it, 4 wins for Scotty in that time period?
Yep.
If Scotty wins 2 of those and one of those 9 guys, or 2 of those 9 guys win the other 2, knocks it down to 7.
Well, the only thing is that, and what makes the biggest difference is that every year someone wins, I don't know, 3 or 4 events. It isn't like
right.
Common. I think 3 guys this year won 3 events or more. 6 guys won 2 events or more. So, like, the parity in golf is very significant, as you already know. Like Tony Finau, prior to winning the Northern Trust last year, didn't have a win for 6 years.
Right.
Like, since 2016. So, like, the parity is there, and like it makes sense because like none of these guys are going to be like schmucks making the field. Like Brian Harmon, despite not having a win in 3 years, is still a very good player. Like
right.
He probably might be the best like example here because he kind of falls under the radar as like household names. But when guys make it, even the next 5 guys out was Shane Lowry, Trey Mullinax, JJ Spawn, who did get a win this year. So like these are like still like good players who would make it. I mean, you're gonna have really solid players, and there aren't many outliers. But at the same time, though, like you got to win. Will Zalatoris had 1 win this year in a playoff event, kind of on a whim. Got pretty lucky at the right time. Like, would Zalatoris like deserve to make it if he didn't get a win this year? Maybe, but he didn't get the title. So I think that's kind of the the marker. I mean, and like who knows? We might have a season, and this hasn't happened since Tiger Woods, where someone wins 11 times, like Tiger, like just comes out of freaking nowhere. There've only ever been a handful of guys to ever do that, but like in that 1 year it happens, you have 46 events, and a third of them go to one guy. It's like, then where's the rest of the parity going to be? Because you're going to have guys win two or 3 times. So then what? You're going to have like 8 guys who have multiple wins, and you have like 3 or 4 guys who have 1 win, and that's everyone else went over, but they all finished top 10 like every single event. I think at that point it sort of sucks, but that's just how the parity in golf is. I would rather you earn your win and make it on than not, or give a Korn Ferry Tour guy a shot. If you won on the Korn Ferry Tour and earned your PGA Tour card that year, I think your first event should be at the Tournament of Champions because you won your tour card, so now you're on the tour.
That.
But also you won the events to get you there. I think you kind of deserve it a little more than the other guy. That's just me.
I like that. How much of this do you think is for lack of a better term, like a ploy by the PGA Tour to keep guys happy and keep them on the PGA Tour?
1,000%. It totally is because now your first shot. Now, notice a lot of the guys in the top 25 to 30 in the world don't play the events in October and November because they don't have to, because they can rack up. Because like Rory McIlroy can rack up enough FedEx Cup points to push his way into the top 30 in only 17 starts. Sorry, actually 16 this year.
Right.
Where take somebody like Brian Harmon will probably need 25 starts. Someone who played almost every single week on tour this entire year was Trey Mullinax. And he didn't break into the top 100 until the Open when he finished top 10. So now you give a guy a shot at the Century for his first event of the year. Not only are you giving them a shot at 550 FedEx Cup points, but you're also going to give them a shot at $25 million at a life-altering sum if you win on 1 week. So I think, like, yeah, it's a ploy. And, like, look, like, guys are going to buy into it. Like, there's no doubt about it because now they're getting elevated shots at money. But overall, I'd rather push it.
I like Corn Ferry idea, though. I will say that. I think that's a genius idea.
Thank you. I also think, like, and I proposed this to Ben last week. I was like, should they get rid of the alternate events, like, in October through November? And he goes, no, because A, the money that they make on sponsors, where would the money go? And B, guys need that because it's half Corn Ferry Tour fields, but also there's guys like Sam Burns who won the Sanderson Farm this past year. One of the guys who had multiple wins, one of the guys who is a top 10, top 15 player in the world. Even he's playing those events. Max Homa won the first event of the year last year. That's going to happen in 2 weeks at the Fortnite Cup, like
at Tomato Town, USA.
Exactly. So like guys like big names play it. There's only 3 or 4 who will, but it's still a big time event for a lot of guys because they got to rack up these points because they got to play 45 times. They don't have to play only 20 times.
Instead of yelling 4 at the Fortnite Cup, they yell, "Get down!"
I got a man on me. I got him pinged. I'm low shield.
Get down, Tomato Town.
Oh, stop, please. I'm not getting into this right now. But yeah, those are just about all the rules. The only other big rule change, which doesn't really affect anybody currently on the tour, technically, at least the young guys, instead of committing 15 years to the tour to earn a lifetime membership, which I didn't even know that was a thing. Once you reach 20 career wins, you are then eligible for a lifetime membership on the PGA Tour. I mean, like, I'm fine with it because it's fucking tough to win.
I was going to say it's harder to get to. I feel like, because I feel like you can make your way of sticking around for 15 years. I feel like guys have done that.
It's either or. So,
okay.
So you can stay on for 15 years, or if you win 20 events, you're just automatically on.
Okay.
Like at that point, like Rory McIlroy can retire tomorrow, and like at 35, no qualms. I'm a lifetime member, and I can just go.
Yeah.
I can go Tito with John Daly whenever I want now.
I don't hate that. It's kind of like you can retire after working for X amount of years, or at age 65.
I think it's funny though because like, what if it like creates like a parody like system like. At the clubhouse, like the guys who have the gold jackets or 20 career wins, and then it's like Freddie Couples in the back corner was like 19, doesn't get the gold jacket, and is like like livid because he's like 70 years old, and he's like you know what, maybe
it's like that. It's like that drill tweet. Please don't tell them I'm mad.
Well, the best thing is like because guys like Freddie Couples and like Sandy Lyle, I was like get invited back to all the because for every major, you're invited back if you're a past champion of it. So like it's the constant tweet every year I send out when John Daly is like 1 under in the first group at the PGA, like, oh, you're never gonna see this ever again. John Daly's currently in the lead because it's 7:30 in the morning and he's already 4 cigarettes deep in a Diet Coke, but. Like, what if Freddie Couples is like, all right, I can get the gold jacket now if I can get the 20 wins, but the only time I can do it is at Augusta, and I'm 70 years old, and I got to do it against like Rory and Jordan.
That'd be electric.
Imagine Freddie Couples is like 70 years old, just like goes out wins, and it's like the gold jacket.
Here, get this green shit off of me.
By the way, there is no gold jacket for those of you
yes.
listening at home. I'm just trying to think of the way that like there's like you're in the elite club. It's like the one episode of SNL where it was John Mulaney hosting his 5th show, and it was like the Fivers Club, and it was like Alec Baldwin and Will Ferrell and Tina Fey and then John Mulaney hanging out, and like there was like one oddball person who no one liked who for some reason hosted 5 times. I forget who it was. Oh God. But yeah, like I think it's a fun little extra achievement. You win 20 events, you can just basically retire on spot and just have a spot at the PGA campus.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
But yeah, that's basically all the rule changes. Honestly, a very short show this week. Didn't really have a lot to break down. Although, actually, we have to talk about this. Top 5 guys based on this season that you think will wind up 1 through 5 on the PIP before we go.
So can you re-explain the PIP real quick to me, just so I can...
So they're getting rid of the overall social media aspect. So, like, Max Homa got a lot of points because, obviously, he's very active. But now they're going to take more into account the overall, like searches, your social media presence, but also take into account your actual relevancy on the course for the season. So, like, Tiger Woods is going to get a major hit because, obviously, he didn't play.
Right.
Where Tiger was obviously number 1 last year. So, with that being said, in terms of included relevance, who do you think will finish top 5?
Oh man.
I gotta think about it too.
I'm gonna say, in no particular order from me, at least.
Yeah, same.
And trying to think of the guys that are still on the PGA Tour. I'm gonna say Scotty will be in there.
Definitely.
Rory.
By the way, Scotty Scheffler has no Twitter. Fun fact.
Interesting.
But I think that's also why they're getting rid of the social media side, is because some guys just are kind of disengaged.
Which is so weird to me.
Be off the grid.
Just from a standpoint of it's an individual sport.
Yeah.
And like just building a brand. Let's see. I'm gonna say. I mean, is it confirmed or not if Hideki's going to live?
He is going to stick around on the PGA Tour.
I'll say Hideki will be in the mix there. Colin, I think, has an opportunity to be in the mix. And based on recent success, I'm going to say Tony Finau.
You know what? I'm going to go in order. I think it's going to be Rory 1, Scotty 2, 3 will be Cameron Young, 4 will be Tiger, and 5 will be Max Homa. I'm
Max will be
pretty confident that'll be it. Cameron Young just had too good of a year to not have a win. I mean, Zalatoris will probably
yeah.
Zalatoris over Cameron Young then.
I was just listing off guys, like eliminating the entire social media factor from my brain and just going on course performance from this year.
Yeah,
it could increase them.
Even solely on course performance, like Scotty and Rory are easily there. Cameron Smith will wind up making it, even though he's going to jump to live. I think what he might do is, unless, and I don't know when. I feel like Jay Monahan is going to specifically wait for the PIP to happen after the first live event, after the break, because if Cameron Smith does win, he'll just knock him off. Because why would he want to give him any credit?
Right.
I think not including that though, because again I gotta see dates. It'd be Rory, Scotty, Cam, Zalatoris, and at that point I think Cameron Young would be 5. Homa would barely miss it. And Tiger's going to be top 10 no matter what, just because he was.
Yeah, I don't know if Tiger will be top 5 if they're depending on how heavily they're weighing the on course.
Well, it's going to be heavy, but also he was the only guy on your TV screen for 3 whole days at Augusta and the Open.
Right.
Literally, you went on USA on Thursday, and he was the only person on TV.
Yeah.
They didn't even show you Max Homa's shots. They would rather show you just Tiger Woods walking and talking to his caddy than watching Max Homa take a shot. So I think Tiger will wind up top 20. Other guys who should make it, I think Finau will definitely after his late run. I said Zalatoris. I think an underrated player this year who will get a lot of buzz. Russell Henley. He had a handful of top tens this year. Actually made some really good strides. Trey Mullinax might get a few looks. Someone who was off the PGA Tour came back and is now kind of thriving. Let me see who else. Sahith Theegala might also get some buzz. The guy who went from a sponsor exemption at the Waste Management and is now a full-time card member. Patrick Cantlay will probably get a little bit. JT solely for the PGA Championship win will probably get some. Oh, Matt Fitzpatrick. Can't forget Fitz. He had a great year. That first, that storyline alone of him winning the U.S. Open and staying with the family that he won the U.S. Am at, and slept in the same bed, ate the same breakfast. Like that storyline alone, just it still gives me shivers. But I think Fitzpatrick will most certainly wind up somewhere in that because just the buzz around that was just huge.
What about my Canadian sensation, Corey Connors?
Well, he can't putt, so
valid.
There was plenty of stories about that. how Corey Connors could finish top 20 every week, but he couldn't hit a putt just to save his life. I don't know. It's possible. Again, hey, the guy finishes top 20 in every event. Why can't he finish top 20 in the new PIP?
He was a 2022 KB #, my guy.
Yeah, also, before we go, final thing here, because we've driven off the deep end so many times. I think it's finally time for me to announce that we are dropping. We haven't talked about it in 6 months, and for good reason. But we are officially on the I Hate Taylor Gooch train because of his jump to live. We were very much in the Gooch gang group. Unfortunately, because of his departure, we are falling off of that. Also, really dumb move by Taylor Gooch. Probably the funniest thing the entire year. When Gooch signed up to play in the first live event, he thought that he was getting exempt for it and would just come back without realizing that the second you jumped on, you were suspended, which is the reason why Taylor Gooch didn't resign from the PGA Tour. He thought he would be able to waltz back. So dumb move on Gooch. We are dropping the # Gooch gang forever and always. He can go and take his blood money somewhere else.
Now we need to find a new it's funny because all of our pods on the network, Top Bins will get behind a certain soccer club or certain players. OTB will get behind certain players. I feel like they're going into 2023. There will be a pamphlet, if you will, of golfers that are certified GITH.
Well, Ben has a direct connection to Zach Johnson.
All right, so he's in the fold.
So I think he's automatically there. I think it also helps that Zach Johnson's going to be a captain of the President's Cup team. So,
absolutely, that's certified GITH right there.
And I believe Zach Johnson's is the confirmed captain of the next Ryder Cup team. So that's going to be huge next year when they go to Rome, because we'll basically be cheering on for Zach Johnson and hopefully be able to get him on the pod. See how that one
That'd
goes.
be huge.
That would be amazing.
Here's the challenge. Zach Johnson, come on the podcast. Your boy Ben Piro's the host. Stephen Mack loves you. I love you. Come through.
I watched him win a major.
Look at that. See? He was in the presence. A big reason of you winning that major, the guy to my left on this screen was there rooting for you.
Not a chance. I was probably rooting for Tiger.
He doesn't know that. You're being too loud. Inside voices. We can edit that in post.
All right, folks. That's going to do it all for KB and me, Stephen McAvoy. Thank you.
Oh, wait. One last thing.
Oh, God.
This will be for you to marinate on with Ben because I want you to conjure it up with Ben. Okay. But subscribe to the podcast feed for Getting the Hole, obviously, but also subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, where we're on our # Road to 1K and we're throwing down a gauntlet challenge, which is, think of it in the mind of Thanos almost, where he's got the Infinity Gauntlet, he's collecting these stones. Oddly enough, we have 6 year-round podcasts, so each podcast is coming up with their own Road to 1K challenge.
Our own Infinity Stone?
Exactly. So you guys are the time stone, pretty much, because you're green. But you and Ben conjure up your piece of the puzzle. So once we hit 1K, Steve and Ben will be participating in said thing. And for an example, for the Getting the Whole listeners, on Streamer Season, our exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast that myself and Dylan Mazzola host, Dylan will be cosplaying as a character as voted on by listeners, followers, and viewers from a show, of a character from a show that we have watched and reviewed in pod history. And I will be watching season 1 of Game of Thrones, being that I have never watched Game of Thrones.
Ben, if you're listening to this show at any point, I think you're going to caddy for me. And you will hate every second of it. That's going to do it all. That's going to do it all for us here. We have an 18-day hiatus. Don't worry, though. We're going to be back next week because I guarantee you some live drama is going to happen.
Just because golf stops doesn't mean Getting the Whole stops.
Exactly. Also, this is like the one monumental like schism shift, tectonic plates collide moment in golf. So if we actually took 2.5 weeks off, I think the whole world would just hate us. So that's going to do it all here. KB, Steve McAvoy. We'll see you guys next week, and hopefully whatever is happening in the world of golf, we'll chat about it. We'll see you guys next time.